and welcome to Two Words Wolves Pod. I'm Ryan Eichten, and with me tonight after that thrilling Game 1 victory in Los Angeles for the Wolves is my colleague at Canasupis, Andrew Carlson. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. That was a fun one. And the best part about not starting a game at 10 o'clock local time is that when the game is done, if you start at 7:30, you can pour up a little drink afterwards and have a little afterburner. So cheers to you. Little single barrel to cap the night off and maybe celebrate a fun game that happened on ABC tonight.
Yeah, exactly. The 7:30 tip is pretty nice. I will say I don't remember who. I think Dane, after one of the 6 p.m. starts they had recently, I was just like, I don't know. I kind of prefer these 6 p.m. tips, especially in the regular season. Like it's an hour of your life. It feels like you get back. But yeah, I didn't have any of the brown liquor on hand, so I just went with the classic beer. But yes, cheers to you as well.
Yeah, that was fun, and I think like it validated. I think tonight validates and the series will validate a lot of what we have thought of this team all season long. They can play as well as they want to. When this team is regimented, when they are disciplined, when they are aggressive on defense, they can essentially wall up any team that they want to. However, when they get away from their principles and they get away from what they want to do on defense, you look and see what they did in the third quarter. LA goes on a little 10-0 run, gets to be a little bit uncomfortable. I think a lot of people were maybe white-knuckling a little bit. But a fun game nonetheless.
Yeah. Let's talk about kind of the game script a little bit. So I thought the first 7 minutes were like every kind of fear I had about this series coming into it. And obviously, I think even if you talk to me then, you never try to overreact to even one game really, but especially not a 7-minute stretch. But up until almost 7.5 minutes in the game, the Wolves had 7 points. Their offense was just not doing anything. Luka was doing classic Luka things. But they kind of rode it out. They were down 7 after the first quarter, and it was kind of one of those things where it's like they should be down 17 darn near. Like the first quarter was bad. And like the things like I kind of jotted down were like they were getting beat on the offensive glass, which like in this series just cannot happen, especially like it was mostly Jackson Hayes, which is like Rudy's just got to grab those rebounds. And a couple one or two hustle rebounds, and then the Wolves are turning it over. So that's like the biggest thing is like the Wolves have to get up more shots. The Wolves had +3 shots in this game. Lakers had a few more free throws, so about even possession wise. So that's, I mean, to be honest, if you told me the possessions would be about even, I would have said the Wolves might be in trouble this game, but only 10 turnovers. But yeah, after that terrible first quarter, they just go on an absolute tear. They're up 27 with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Lakers do mount a run. They kind of go on a 10-0 run. Ant goes out with some cramping, and it did kind of feel like here we go. But I will say in retrospect, I mean, any 10-0 run, you're not going to play well. But I thought it was just more of like, of course the Lakers are going to go on a run. They're a good team. They got good players. Like there was always going to be a run. And like in retrospect, I don't think it was as much like Wolvesiness. It's just like this is what NBA basketball is. And the Wolves were able to buy enough time for Ant to get back on the court. Jack Borman tweeted out, and I kind of agreed with him, that Julius Randle had a couple big buckets despite probably a not a great game overall. 7 of the 10 turnovers for the Wolves were his. But he kept them into the game. Ant comes back, hits a fadeaway jumper, and they just they hit a couple more buckets, and it's kind of over halfway through the fourth. That's to me like the biggest thing is the Wolves need to avoid clutch time as best they can in this series. And it looked like we were kind of barreling towards similar to that Milwaukee thing. One big thing, Lakers went zone, and Jaden immediately attacked it, got a pull-up jumper. I thought that was a big bucket. But the Wolves avoid clutch time. That's huge. And then kind of other big picture thoughts. The Wolves won pretty much every category. Obviously, the three-point shooting is going to stand out. They likely won't hit 21 of 42 threes the entire series. The Lakers shooting 36% is probably more representative of their shooting, but Wolves win second chance points 23-20 after trailing like that category 10-0 in the first couple minutes. Fast break points, huge. Wolves plus 19, 25-6. And that was obvious. The Wolves were doing a great job running when they had opportunities. Points off turnovers, 18-9. Another big category for the Wolves. Lakers turned it over a total of 3 more times. And then points in the paint, I was surprised to see the Wolves are plus 12 in that, given how well they were shooting the three. So 43-32 in the paint. The Wolves dominated every single quarter. Obviously, the three-point shooting is going to stand out, but really the Wolves took care of business in every facet.
You encapsulated almost all my thoughts. I will run through this part. I think I wrote a couple notes down in the first quarter. It was all of the bugaboos that they've experienced all season, and you recapped them pretty well. It was turnovers. It was bad turnovers, too. It wasn't just turnovers. It was bad turnovers that were incredibly avoidable. I wrote down and underlined 2 early cross-court passes.
Yeah,
you just can't do that in the first couple minutes of the game. Like that
the fans in the bottom left corner of the screen were in the whatever the basketball version of the splash zone is.
It's an immediate tone setter. Second chance points, and then I also wrote that they can't finish it. They couldn't finish at the rim early either. That was a big issue, I thought, early on. Like they didn't have necessarily an issue getting to the rim. It was finishing at the rim that I thought was a big issue. But who are the 2 people that pulled them out of their lull? It's Jaden and Nas.
Cool, baby.
What an unbelievable stretch from them, especially to close out the half. I mean, you encapsulated with the Dante 3, but Jaden and Nas to match each other at 6 of 8. This game is not won tonight without that stretch from Jaden and Nas in the first half. I mean, it's energy. I think it gave everybody else a little bit of something going into the rest of the game. I think too, Rudy Gobert in isolation was really good tonight. That was something that I think stuck out to me from the very beginning. I mean, Luka draws that foul early on. I don't think it was on Rudy, if my memory serves me correctly. The first possession of the game,
it was Rudy.
But
yep.
And he picked up 3 early fouls, and you kind of go, here we go again. But he was pretty seamless when the Lakers were going 5 out on the defensive end, and that's something that really sticks out to me. And that tells me that a lot of the thoughts of Rudy Gobert getting played off the floor, I didn't think that they were misguided, but I did think that there were, and there still may very well be games in this series where Rudy Gobert doesn't close, just because he's having a rough night and it may not be his night. But I don't think tonight was that night. I don't think that he got played off of the floor. He had foul trouble, but I think when he was on the floor, he was very effective. He deterred at the rim. He was physical. I think he presented options in the paint. I think Julius Randle, frankly, like even though he had a nice night points wise, I think Julius Randle is maybe a little bit more concerning tonight than Rudy Gobert was. But I think that's a storyline that I don't want to underscore. I think Rudy Gobert deserves a lot of credit tonight for the way that he played.
Yeah, I'll say, let's split the halves. I thought he was pretty brutal in the first half, but I think what people kind of got to get out of their heads is like what you said, getting played off the floor, quote unquote. Like he is just like the small ball lineups. He is just not going to be as effective as when Hayes or Vando is in there. That's just going to be true. But there's a difference between like not a good matchup and just being unplayable. Rudy is not unplayable. There isn't a lineup to me that the Lakers can throw out there. There's lineups that they can attack him better with, certainly, but there's not a lineup out there that like he's just unplayable. Or even like Mike had a fantastic game, but like coming into the series, I thought like Mike was the one that was probably more in danger of getting quote unquote played off the floor. I thought Rudy's second half was great. My thing with like the Luka stuff is and he mentioned this kind of at practice when they were back home early this week, is like the step backs over him are going to be loud but they're not like high percentage shots really. And that was my thing, was if Luka's going to take step backs, whether like free throw line or certainly the threes over you, you're just going to have to live with it. You can try to do things better. I thought they did a good job of not just giving up on the screen. I thought the Lakers did far too much of that. It just, especially like I thought the Wolves did a much better job of making Luka guard on the perimeter, especially with Ant. To me, like, that's something the Lakers are changing. They won't just give up on screens and automatically switch Luka onto Ant, especially. But the Rudy in isolation to me is not this big giant like flashing. No. You can't do it. I mean, and Luka's going to get his. He's going to, and tonight
40 points tonight.
the perfect example of what they need to do. Luka scored 37 points and had 1 assist. Boom. If that continues, push him up to 45. If Luka scores 45 points and has like 2 assists, the Wolves are going to win those games. There's not. Yeah. It's like Jokic. It's the exact same stuff. Those guys are unbelievably good players. But I didn't think LeBron had a good game. I don't think Reeves had other than Luka, I don't think a single other player on the Lakers had a good game.
Yeah, Reeves wasn't very good. And I think like Rudy's box score is going to be ugly. I mean, it was 2 points, and I think he had 6 boards.
Yeah, I just don't care.
It wasn't good, and like I don't. Again, that's one of those things where it's like that doesn't matter because I think what he did gravity wise on the floor was much more important. And I think that the idea, I think tonight, if you actually watched the game, was one of those things that disproves the theory that he just can't guard in isolation. He did it in Phoenix last year, and he's doing it. He did it tonight again in game 1. On the Conley thing, one thing I absolutely loved was coming out of the gate right away in the first quarter and him having the Rui matchup. Yep. I loved that. That was fantastic. That's something that I don't think was even an idea. I mean, of myself. A lot of people who covered this. You did?
Go listen to my previous track. I said it.
All right, I'll give it a listen. But that's good on you, Ryan, because that's one thing where I loved it out of the gate. I mean, he not only was it a capable matchup, but I mean, Rui's someone that they hide in the corner. You know?
Yeah, my thing is like it's not a good matchup, honestly. I mean, more obviously was the word I meant to say there. Like, but like ultimately, if they're gonna try to attack, if you're gonna try to attack Rui Hachimura mismatch, great, good luck. Like, I just don't like. That's just not a matchup that I don't think is going to be in the lot when you have Luka and LeBron and Reeves. And if you're attacking matchups that aren't like with those guys, the Wolves are going to let you have it, especially if like Hayes or Randall on the court, and Rudy's just going to roam. Rudy's going to roam off of those guys, and even to a certain extent, Finney-Smith. Rudy will roam, and obviously with Finney-Smith, there will be a little bit more back-end rotations that need to happen, but I just think the Wolves feel comfortable with that. If, like, I just don't think, like, Rui Hachimura post-ups on Mike are going to be some series back-breaking thing.
It's not a profitable thing. It's just it's not a profitable thing, and if that's what beats you, you just kind of have to tip your cap to that and just say, okay, if Luka and LeBron aren't going to beat us and Rui Hachimura does, all right, let's do that for 7 games. You know, great call by you. I loved that coming out of the gate, and I think that that's something that the Wolves have to flash a little bit more because I think it caught LA off guard too. I mean, for as bad as the Wolves played early on, I don't think LA came out of the gate necessarily strong either. I mean, I think both teams were a little bit rusty offensively. And for as well as Luka played, I don't necessarily think anybody else on LA played too well. The other thing about Luka too is it gave me some vibes of some of those earlier Dallas years where it's like the team is good, but it's so Luka heavy that when no one else had the opportunity to get involved really, and it was really Luka that was becoming the scorer, how does that impact the team? LeBron was very clearly willing to take the back seat there. But I don't know if a lot of the other players on the Lakers were necessarily used to that. And it kind of reminds me of the Jokic game plan, frankly. It like, hey, score as many points as you want. Like, we're just not going to give you anything else. And I don't know if LA knew how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think the Wolves just have good matchups to put. If they have good matchups to put on guys, especially if if they're going to put Mike on Rui, the Wolves have good defensive matchups for everyone else. Ant on Reeves is great. Randall on LeBron, I think is fine. And then Rudy on Hayes or DFS is fine too. Like, they just don't. I think the Lakers against a lot of other matchups would have a lot of matchup problems. Especially, I mean, like Luka's always going to be a matchup problem, but not many teams can throw their best defender at Luka and then have anything left for LeBron and Reeves. And the Wolves just do. Especially, I mean, it's not a surprise that Ant would guard well in the playoffs. It's just not a surprise. And it's not, at this point, this is just in the playoffs who Jaden McDaniels is. He's going to be fantastic like this. I mean, 11 of 13 from the field, hitting all 3 of his threes is obviously
unbelievable.
They're going to win the title if he literally does that every single game. Yeah, him and Nas just like you said, just completely dominated. I thought Dante, even though didn't hit a ton of shots. Nikhil the same way. Like, just, again, defenders. The Wolves have just waves of defenders. And they've, honestly, like, one thing I, like, being a big sticking points for, like, Jace Frederick of the Pioneer Press, and I don't necessarily disagree, is, like, the Wolves just don't really have any measuring stick games down the stretch of this season. It's not to take away their 17-4 down the stretch, but, like, really in that 17-4 stretch, they played 3 playoff teams. The meltdown against the Bucks. I guess they played the Pacers twice, once with the actual team. And then it was the Nuggets, who were in the midst of this free fall that eventually got their coach fired. Although I think the owner said that they were trying to fire him earlier in the year and they won a bunch of games of their own. He couldn't, but whatever. The Nuggets are a great matchup for the Wolves and we're in flux. And then the Grizzlies, who also were just kind of free falling and haven't defended anyone.
Might get swept here very shortly.
Yeah, good luck to them tomorrow afternoon. Certainly, that seems tough. But yeah, to me, this game is very reminiscent of that Suns game 1, where the Wolves were like bigger underdogs coming into that series than they were this series. And to me, the tone of the entire series changed on that one game. And I think that's a similar feeling tonight. I just tweeted it out. The Wolves were like minus 190 underdogs. The Lakers are 190 favorites. So people don't know, you bet 190 to win 100. So like nearly 2-1 underdog or 3-2 underdogs. And now they're minus 130 favorites. So if you were to bet on the Lakers, you get plus money now instead of having to nearly double up your money or whatever. So that takes their theoretical win percentage according to Vegas from like 30-something% to mid-50s%. Like, that's just a giant swing over the course of one game.
It's an emotional hedge for Wolves fans if you really wanna try and hedge your emotions a little bit. I think it's going to be interesting to see in these next couple games. I clearly the Lakers let Ant get too loose tonight. That was something that I don't think was necessarily intended, and they're going to have to tighten that up. The question
I'm not sure they have an answer.
The question is how do they do it? And that means, because in my mind, LeBron did dominate the Julius Randle matchup defensively. I don't think Julius was able to get anything down low tonight, and that's LeBron's going to be a tool defensively that they're going to need to move around a little bit more. So how does that impact Julius for the rest of the series? Like you said earlier, I don't think Julius played particularly well, but I think it's only a matter of time before he maybe gets loose and has a game or two where he's 25 plus points.
I thought I agree with you, but I thought he did also do a good job. Like after some of the turnovers were brutal, but also like he was doing it wasn't coming off of post ups, which I think is like the biggest thing, is not posting up Randall on especially LeBron a whole bunch. Although if you're going at the 40-year-old, I know it's LeBron James. And that, quick aside, that chase down block he had, it's
unbelievable.
That's insane. It's 9 years since the Iguodala block in Game 7 of the finals. Like, what the hell? Whatever.
It's bullshit, man. It's crazy.
But I thought he was doing a good job, like kicking out to wide open threes. It wasn't all bad from Randall, but your point taken.
He was well intended. His intentions were good. I just think down low the offense wasn't there. Like when he did attempt to maybe get some second chance points, or maybe did attempt to take that LeBron matchup down low and see if he could get something within 5 feet. It just didn't work very well. But that's my point, is it's like, maybe they do move LeBron, and when they do, like, my thing coming into this series was, if I'm the Lakers, LeBron is going to be the guy that I use to blitz Anthony Edwards. He's the best blitzer in the league as a help defender. Like when he comes off and he's a decisive defender, he's the best in the league at it. And so in my mind, where the Wolves were at is like their base set should be Julius comes to set the screen, LeBron comes, blitzes Ant, you give the ball to Julius, and he then has the choice between a lob to Rudy or to take the ball to the basket himself or to kick open to a wide open 3-point shooter, preferably Nikhil in the corner. And so if that's something that ends up happening with the Lakers, where LeBron ends up just saying, you know what, we can maybe let Julius Randle beat us, and I'm just going to not let this happen with Anthony Edwards anymore, like it was tonight, because they really can't. Like, you really have to sell out to Anthony Edwards at this point if you're the Lakers. That just can't happen again in the next couple games. It's going to be more on Julius Randle. and he wasn't effective tonight. I think too, like Dante DiVincenzo didn't have an offensive explosion like we're maybe used to. Nikhil didn't have a necessarily loud game. Like there are players on the Wolves where you can say, yes, they shot incredible from three. They shot 52% or whatever the number was.
Yeah, Dante and
But
Nikhil 2 of 11 from 3.
yeah, I mean it's just like there's players on the team too that didn't necessarily shoot well. That we're used to, and so it's like it's a game of whack-a-mole. Okay, you whack Jaden and Nas next game. You maybe whack Ant. Like what are the three other moles that come up for the Wolves? This team is so deep that that advantage exists, and the Lakers are not going to be able to overcome it. But it's just if you can whack a few moles and only 2 come up one game, and you're able to overcome that, then that's your key to the rest of the series. But tonight just can't happen again with Anthony Edwards. There's too many leaks that were sprung.
Yep, I agree. I don't know what they do defensively. To me, the switching just can't happen because if they just keep switching, the Wolves are going to do exactly what they did. They're going to bring Luka up. They're going to make Luka guard, and they just don't have one. If and when Ant blows by Luka, they just don't have like the interior big man that to stop Ant. And Ant at this point in his career, I mean, if you swarm him, like bring everyone else collapse into the paint, he's going to find the open shooter. And the Wolves have the shooters to knock down those shots consistently. If you give them wide open corner threes, wide open above the break threes, they're gonna make them. I mean, you can always have a bad game, but yeah, Ant's stat line: 22 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Basically,
Unbelievable.
Basically the exact opposite of Luka, where Luka has 37 and 1 assist, and has 22 and 9. Like, just Ant was very good in this game. There is a whole nother level that Ant can go to. I thought he missed a bunch of layups. I thought he missed a couple minutes there with a cramp. They only played him 35 minutes. I guess if the game was close, it would have been 38 minutes, those last 3 minutes. But yeah, I just think my big thing, I don't know if I quite say it, so maybe this is a retroactive opinion. I thought the Wolves on paper were the better team. They have more talent. They have 1 to 8. They have more talent. 1 to 6. They have more talent. Like, this is just a better team. And like Finch has said, like, if they were going to lose the series, it was going to be by them beating themselves and Luka taking it to them, obviously. And at least for one game, they did the exact opposite. They pushed every single advantage they had, which is a lot of them. I think the Wolves have a lot more advantages than the Lakers have the other way. And just kind of, I think it, like the Suns game last year, just destroyed all the national narratives, especially like Luka or Ant's got to score 1 billion points to win. That was like, oh no, don't do that. That's how you're going to lose this series. And like Luka is a matchup problem for the Wolves. I mean, I would disagree with that, not because it's untrue, but because that's true for every single damn team in the league. And the real matchup problem with this series is Anthony Edwards. I don't know what the Lakers have for them. I mean, if you are able to get past the series, like I think the Warriors or the Rockets have like better options for Ant than this Lakers team does. But I'm not counting out the Lakers either. They have possibly the greatest player of all time, and he's not even the best player on their team. So.
Yep. And 100%. And I think the other thing too with Ant that I think was a really big step for him tonight was when he came back in the game and it was a 13-point lead for the Wolves, and I think he maybe took the first shot right out of the gate. It was a mid-range turnaround.
Yeah, he had a fadeaway.
And he hit it. You kind of went, all right, how many more in a row is he going to end up taking here? It's like, okay, how many rows is he going to end up taking, and how many is he going to miss, and how much confidence are the Lakers going to get off of that? But he didn't fall into that trap. Like, he kept taking what the game gave him. And part of that was Naz Reid right next to him. I mean, how great... the other thing with Naz tonight was he had such a bad closing to the season. The vibes were so bad around Naz. It was... He got shut off in so many games, both by the referees and the matchup that other teams would throw at him, and it didn't seem like it was going to really work even in the playoffs. Like he's the type of player where it's like when the snowball starts going downhill, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it breaks, and then you start back over again. And for him to come out tonight, 23 points. I think it was 6 of 9 from three. It. I mean that he had some of the biggest shots of the game. The corner threes, like him finding a way to relocate. His off-ball movement was spectacular. Some of the threes that he hit from the top of the key and the wings, like just his off-ball relocation around Ant, it looked like it did last year, when they were one of the best duos on the team in terms of net rating, and that was a storyline that kind of carried through a lot of the years. I mean, they played 3 years together, or all 5 years together of Ant's career now. They know each other really well, and for some reason this year it didn't really seem like they were on the same page as much as they had been in previous years. And it felt like tonight that was maybe found a little bit again. And if they can find that again, that's a big time weapon for this team. And also too, that Nas and Rudy pairing, that's also a big time weapon if Nas can keep this up, because not only is that a great net rating pairing that the Wolves have with Nas and Rudy, but it gives them some optionality, especially if Julius maybe isn't having his night like he did tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's an outstanding effort from pretty much roster top to bottom. There's still some small question marks. I'm still unsure if there is a close game, or probably when is a better word to use there. When there's a close game in this series, who do the Wolves close with? Do they close with Mike? Do they close with Dante or Nikhil? Which 2 of the 3 bigs do they go with? I mean, I guess there's a small lineup they could throw out there. I doubt that'll end up making sense, but I don't know. It's a good problem to have, honestly. They have a lot of, I mean, the Lakers, I'm not sure what their options are lineup wise. Jackson Hayes played 8 minutes. I doubt he plays much more than that in any of these games. They could play Vanderbilt more. I think
that becomes a big time advantage for the Wolves. It gives you a lot of Rudy runway.
Yep. If Vanderbilt's in, here comes Rudy.
Yeah.
It's just very easy to make that.
Oh man.
Now good luck with your paint points. I guess now that Rudy's in, you're back to hunting him with Luka. Like we've kind of said, obviously that's a solid matchup for them. Luka hunting Rudy. I don't think it's this game breaker that certainly like the national people think it is. I just if their offense to me is just like, here comes Luka Rudy step backs, I just have fun. He's gonna make at best 33% of those, and the Wolves are just gonna find better offense, I think.
When you tip the cap to Dane Moore, who mentioned the double drag hell that the Wolves got into last year against the Mavericks.
Lakers didn't run that enough tonight.
They don't have. I mean, they don't have that if Jackson Hayes isn't on the floor. I mean, I think LeBron is a legitimate screener, and Dorian Finney-Smith, like that's your double drag there. I mean, you don't have a roller like Daniel Gafford. You don't have a roller and second playmaker like Derek Lively. You don't have that personnel. So I don't necessarily think that's a viable set that you can just kill a team with in the playoff series. I mean, you're counting on Luka to win in isolation. And if you're playing Luka isolation ball, I'd score 37, like he might score 37 like he did tonight.
That's like a clutch time strategy. If the game is tied late in the game, then yeah, you run the Luka isolation, that's a good shot. But like as like a first 3 quarters of the game, first 3.5 quarters of the game, that is just not like something that like I stay awake up at night about, like in terms of the Wolves. And you mentioned like the Gafford and Lively piece, and I just think that is the biggest thing. This is going to be, the Lakers next year are going to be so much better than they are this year.
Yes.
I'm assuming LeBron's going to play again, and obviously at his age, every season is going to be 10% worse than the last one.
Yep.
That's not a criticism of LeBron James. That's just how the world works. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Or in terms of games that he plays. Maybe he plays 10% less games,
Yeah. Either way.
At the same output.
They'll have him ready for the playoffs, obviously. But like,
correct.
The Lakers roster has giant holes, and those holes are very fixable from a roster management standpoint. They obviously the Mark Williams trade fell through. They'll to me, if they just sign like a wing defender type and like someone to put on Ant, or player similar to Ant, and then a rim rolling big similar to Gafford or Lively, or literally go trade for Lively from the if the Mavs are kind of looking to do something like that, the Lakers are going to be much better. But right now, I don't like, there's just a lot of holes, and it's not to say the series is over. Trust me, it is far from that. But I just like, we talk these sets that they need to run. Like Lucas just hasn't been on the team long enough. And I mean, you do that trade 1,000 times out of 900. Like
Yeah.
that is a no-brainer trade. But I do remember when the trade was made, me feel, especially when Lucas hurt, like I was kind of like, this makes them worse in the immediate short term. And it did, and they were able to win enough games, obviously, to get the seed that they probably wanted to get. I just think like they don't have the time together to, if this is how the Wolves are going to continue to play, they don't really have the time together to fix it. And like long term, that's not an issue for them. They'll be just fine next year. But yeah, it's, if the Wolves keep playing like this and keep, I mean, they're gonna have an Ant Inferno game at some point. But yeah, it's about as encouraging as this game one can be.
That's the thing. As many points Stan scored tonight, he didn't have the, hey, I'm gonna go score 35 type of game that he's inevitably going to have at some point. I mean, if you're the Lakers, you just have to use the personnel that you have right now. And in my mind, where your biggest adjustment going into game 2 has to be getting Austin Reeves downhill a little bit more. You have to maybe they run this motion with him where he comes off a screen and he just gets downhill right off the bat. Like he comes off a pin down, and he gets to the basket. I just think if you're the Lakers, like I know Rudy Gobert he's an elite rim protector. I mean, you have front court size as the Wolves. You just have to put pressure on the rim. You have to find a way to put pressure on the rim. And I think he's going to be a big part of that. He did not have a good game tonight whatsoever. And at halftime, Dante DiVincenzo in one shot had more points than Austin Reeves did. That's a problem. Yep. If Austin Reeves isn't going to show up, then the Lakers might lose in 5 if Austin Reeves doesn't show up to this series. You have to be more intentional with him moving forward. And whether that's a 2-man game with LeBron James, taking Luka out of some of the offensive sets, I mean, you just have to find a way to get him involved in this. And so that has to be the priority here going into game 2, and trying to find ways to get advantageous matchups for him. You know, whether it's maybe if the Wolves are switching, getting Julius onto him or whatever it may be. I'm not JJ Redick, but I just think that has to be something that they do, because he was the biggest lapse in matchup tonight. I mean, if you're the Lakers, you look at it, you have a 20-point loss, you look at Austin Reeves right away. I mean, I think he was the one that maybe didn't carry his weight the most out of anybody.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things that they need to do better is just like, it's a lame analysis, but like just play better. Like they just played like crap.
Especially in the first half.
Yeah. The Lakers just need to defend better. Like just flat out. Like every team has bad defensive games on the perimeter. Maybe this is just who they are. I doubt it'll be this bad. They'll find ways to play better, I'm sure, and make it a series. But yeah, it'll be an excited one. Any last words for you before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll mirror my parting thoughts and what I kind of put up at Canis shortly before the game is there's 2 outside of the 3 players I wrote about, which are Julius, Rudy, and Nikhil, who I think are going to impact the series the most outside of Ant. The biggest overarching theme are 1, clutch time minutes, and 2, playing at home. You've stolen 1 game in LA now, and now you're going to let's just do the thought exercise that they lose game 2. Maybe they won't. Maybe they take it. You're going to head home to a sold-out crowd on Friday night.
Crowd's gonna be fun.
That is going to be as drunk as ever. I mean, that is going to be I'm a little jealous of you, Ryan. You are going to experience one of the loudest Target Center crowds that I think is probably going to be in that building in 20 years. You got to perform. I mean, you can't do the Nuggets thing last year where you take 2 in Denver and you let Denver take 2 at home. That's just, you can't do that. And even more so than the clutch time minutes, you have to be able to protect home court moving forward. You've given yourself a big time luxury here, stealing 1 on the road. Go home, protect your home court, make it a 3-1 series.
Yeah, that's probably the goal right now is, can you get it to 3-1 so that game 5 isn't do or die? You can either try to close it out with game 5, or obviously if you're up 3-1, worst case scenario, you're coming home game 6. But like you said, game 3 will be fun. I am flying out to LA for game 2. That'll also be a crazy game. And we'll have you out there for game 4.
Sir, matinee.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon, that one.
Won't be as drunk though. Won't be as drunk as Friday night. It won't be as drunk of a crowd.
I mean, I'll probably
you never know.
I'll probably end up going to that game as a fan. So I'll try to, like you said, at 2:30, I'll try to limit the the beverages, obviously, but that'll be a fun one. It's setting up to be an incredible series. I think you agree with me. It's far from over, but obviously, the Wolves have put themselves in a great spot 4 quarters into this one.
100% agree. You just protect home court, go forward from there, and if this series goes 6 games, maybe even 7 games, who knows what can happen? But I mean, what a start to the series! You cannot ask for a better first punch.
Yep, and the Wolves will look to do what they did in Denver last year, go up 2-0, games first on the road, and hope not to obviously repeat that the home games of that series. But Leo and I will be back posting a pod Tuesday morning. Leo was at the game tonight. Boots on the ground journalism there, so that's great. But yeah, for Andrew, I'm Ryan. Thank you everyone for listening. Go Wolves.
Ayoo!